Within weeks, the money you spent your entire life saving stopped meaning anything. That's not a metaphor. It actually happened. And in the beginning, nobody understood it in real time. It didn't feel like collapse. It felt like something slightly off in the background of normal life. December 1991. You are Dymitry, a mechanical engineer at a diesel engine plant in Perm, a cold industrial city where winter doesn't just arrive, it settles in and stays. You are 42 years old. And for most of your life, things have made sense in a very simple way. You work. You earn. You save. About 600 rubles a month from your job. Your wife Anna teaches literature at a high school not far from your apartment. She leaves early every morning, carrying books and papers in a worn leather bag that has lasted longer than most things you own. She earns slightly less than you. Together, just over 1,000 rubles a month. It is not a rich life. Not even close. But it is stable. Predictable. Repeatable. And over the years, that repetition becomes something else. 16,000 rubles in a Gauss bank account. 28 years of discipline sitting behind that number. Every time you didn't buy something, it grew. Every time you said, "We'll do it later," later quietly turned into savings. It was never meant to feel like wealth. It was meant to feel like security. Outside the city, there is a small wooden dacha your parents left you. It sits on a patch of land about 35 kilometers away, surrounded by fields that change with the seasons but never feel unpredictable. A few tools. 6 chickens. Soil that always responds the same way when you work it. Every summer, you and Anna go there. You plant potatoes, carrots, beets. You don't think of it as survival. It feels like routine. Like life is something you can get a handle on if you just keep showing up. Then one evening, everything changes without warning. You are sitting on your old green couch watching TV. The news is calm in a way that makes it feel even more important than usual. A resignation is announced. A flag is lowered. Another flag rises in its place. The Soviet Union ends. Just like that. Anna turns toward you slowly. What does this mean for us? There is a pause that stretches longer than it should. You answer carefully, like the right words might stabilize reality. The plant is still running, you say. They will still pay us. We have savings. We have the dacha. You believe it. Not because you are naive, but because nothing has broken yet. January 1992. At first, nothing announces itself as danger. It just feels slightly wrong. You notice it at the bakery on your way to work. Same building. Same wooden counter. Same woman behind it who has probably worked there longer than you've been an engineer. You pick up a loaf like you always do. Then you look at the price. Your brain refuses it for a full second. Yesterday, this cost almost nothing. Something automatic. Something you never thought about. Today, it costs several times more. You stay still longer than you should. Not reacting yet. Just searching for the missing logic. Maybe a new label. Maybe a mistake. But nothing is wrong with the sign. You pay. Because everyone else is paying. And you walk out into the cold holding the bread like it weighs more than it should. That's not confusion. That is the first crack. And once you notice it, you start noticing everything. Prices don't rise gradually. They jump. Then jump again. A few days later at the market. Then at the drugstore. Then in conversations people stop finishing. Nobody names it clearly, but everyone is adjusting to something that doesn't have a name yet. At the factory, the rhythm changes too. Men show up late. Not because they don't care, but because showing up on time no longer feels connected to anything. One morning a supervisor tries to explain things near the assembly line. He uses words like transition and temporary adjustment. Halfway through, someone in the back laughs. Not loud. Just enough. The moment collapses. Work continues. But something inside it has already stopped functioning. A few weeks later, Anna comes home later than usual. Her face is tired in a way that doesn't come from walking. They didn't pay us, she says. Just that. They said next month. She doesn't sound like she believes it. At the factory, things begin shifting more openly now. One morning near the loading area, two workers get into it. At first it's normal frustration. Then sharper. One says he hasn't been paid in weeks. The other laughs and says nobody has. For a second it feels like it might turn into something serious. But then it doesn't. They go back to standing near the machines. Something, though, has changed in how people look at each other. Orders slow. Not all at once. But enough that gaps show up in the system. The factory doesn't close. It just stops being what it used to be. A place of output becomes a place of waiting. Eventually, management gets everyone together. There is no real money anymore, not for wages. Instead, they offer what still exists inside the system: coupons, parts, stored materials. Things you can try to trade later. Nobody claps. People nod in silence. Because there is nothing else to say. A few days later, you try using those coupons at a store across town. You wait in line. When your turn comes, you hand them over. The cashier looks at them. Then looks at you. And shakes her head. Not accepted here. No anger. No explanation. Just refusal. You step outside holding them in your hand. And for the first time, not in the back of your mind, not as a quiet worry, but fully and clearly, it feels like paper has lost its meaning entirely. That night you don't go upstairs right away. You sit in the car. Engine off. Windows fogging from your breath. You think about the bread. About 16,000 rubles. About Anna sitting silently at the kitchen table. And then your thoughts move somewhere else. The dacha. Because suddenly that small piece of land feels like the only system still working the way it's supposed to. Something that still gives back what you put into it. And without saying it out loud, you already know, everything else is starting to fail in ways you cannot fix. Spring comes slowly, but nothing about life feels like spring. Pay has stopped being money. It has turned into something else entirely. Sometimes metal parts. Sometimes food. Sometimes nothing, with promises that nobody writes down anymore, because writing them down would feel like a joke. But everyone still shows up. Because staying home has gotten more expensive than showing up. Outside the factory, a barter economy takes hold quietly across parts of the city, not everywhere at once, not in any organized way, but spreading through necessity the way cold creeps through a badly insulated wall. Neighbors trade things that would have meant nothing before. Soap for flour. Tools for food. Old clothes for anything usable. Nobody calls it barter. It is just what exists now. You start trading engine parts from the factory. Sometimes they turn into food. Sometimes something you can trade again. There is no longer a single definition of value. Only temporary usefulness. At home, you and Anna stop talking about money directly. It's become too abstract to discuss in any meaningful way. Instead, you talk about what can be gotten. What can be traded. What can last longer than a week. Food becomes planning. Planning becomes survival. And survival becomes routine. The dacha becomes the center of that routine. Every weekend, the road there feels like a line between two different versions of life. In the city, everything is uncertain. At the dacha, everything still responds. You plant. You dig. You fix things. The soil doesn't argue. It doesn't stall. It reacts to effort. Anna starts putting up food in jars. Rows of them line the shelves, each one labeled, each one a small decision against uncertainty. It stops feeling like preparation. It starts feeling like the only form of control that still exists. One evening, Anna comes home later than usual and sits down without taking off her coat. I talked to someone today, she says. Her voice is calm, but different. Something behind it that wasn't there before. She tells you about a colleague. About women making runs to Poland. Buying goods, clothes, small items, anything they can carry. Bringing them back. Selling at markets. You listen without interrupting. Because the way she's talking already tells you the decision is made. A few days later, she leaves. 2 empty bags. No certainty. No preparation that feels like enough. You don't stop her. Because there is nothing solid enough left to argue from. The first trip breaks something in both of you. Not dramatically. Quietly. She comes back worn out. Arms aching from hauling weight through trains and stations. She empties the bags on the table without saying anything first. Clothes. Small goods. Things that already feel less valuable than the effort it took to bring them home. Then she says she sold most of it. Enough to cover food. Not enough to feel secure. But enough to keep going. And so she goes again. And again. The trips start to define time. Not weeks or months, but runs. Before Poland. After Poland. At the market, she learns fast that value is not stable. One day a man picks up an item and announces it, loud enough for the people nearby to hear. Too expensive. She looks at him for a second. Drops the price without any emotion. He walks away anyway. She does not go after him. Because she has already learned something no classroom ever taught her. Going after anything now costs more than letting it go. Years don't arrive the way they used to. They pass. Quietly. Without milestones that feel meaningful the way they once did. At some point, the factory stops being a job. It becomes a place you go. A building where time gets traded for whatever the system can still put together that week. Anna stops mentioning the trips beforehand. She just gets ready. Leaves. Comes back. Sells. Gets by. Does it again. It becomes part of her rhythm. Like breathing. At the dacha, something else happens slowly over time. The land becomes more than survival. It becomes continuity. Every spring you come back. Every fall you store what the earth gives back. Anna's hands get older, not just in age, but in shape. They move from memory instead of instruction. She doesn't talk much while she works anymore. Not because there's nothing to say, but because everything important has already been said through repetition. Plant. Water. Harvest. Put it up. At some point, you stop checking your old savings account expecting anything. 16,000 rubles still exists on paper somewhere. But it has become a number with no place in your daily life. Not gone. Just irrelevant. What replaces it is hard to put into words. A kind of understanding that stability is not something systems hold for you. It is something you build in pieces that cannot all be taken at once. Food. Land. Skills. Routines. One evening, later, much later, you and Anna sit outside the small wooden dacha and look out at the land in silence. There is no celebration in that moment. No reflection spoken out loud. Just being there. She looks at you. I think people forget how fast things can change, she says quietly. You nod. Because there is no disagreement left in you. Only recognition. You lived it. Not as theory. Not as history. As mornings. As winters. As years that didn't announce themselves while they were changing everything. The collapse was not sudden. It only felt sudden to people who thought systems move slowly. But systems don't warn you. They adjust, until they stop working. And by the time most people catch on, the adjustment is already done. You think about what you lost. The savings. The certainty. The version of life that felt solid. And then you think about what remained. Land that still responded. Work that still mattered in a physical way. Routines that did not need anyone's permission. Anna sits beside you, hands in her lap, looking out at the field. The money is gone. The promise is gone. But the potatoes are still growing. And for the first time in years, that isn't a comfort. It's just the truth. Let's end today's video here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this historical video, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. Your support means everything, so please, take a moment to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until we meet again in the next video. Take care and goodbye.